I'm going to share with you Ableton's comping feature so that your hi-hats can go from this to this. First, let me share how I made these comping hi-hats in Ableton Live 11 in case you want to follow along and build your own version of it. I will have a link in the description in case you want to download my version. If you make any tweaks or edits and make it better, please let me know. I would love to see what you've come up with and to get some takes and ideas on how to make this thing better. If you end up downloading the Hero comping hi-hats that's below in the description of this video, you just want to navigate to where your file is, and then you can drop this arrow down, go down to this next section that says Hero comping hi-hats C1.3 share, drop that down, and then grab this track and then drop it anywhere into your open project. You can also just open the project, but if you're already working on a project, it's nice to be able to just drag and drop it into the current project you're working on. The original sample that I created for this is in the key of G. And what I did is I went over to controls, went over to transpose, and I pulled it down 7 semitones, which put it in the key of C. So this plugin is in the key of C. And I find that if I leave this alone and just keep it in the key of C, when I go through and I write the hi-hat parts, after I have the parts the way that I want them, I can then move the notes, the MIDI notes, up and down. So I recommend moving the MIDI notes versus moving the transpose button. I just find better results, and then I always know that this is in the key of C, and I don't have to worry about being in the wrong key or not knowing what key I'm in. Every one of these lanes are called take lanes, and essentially they are different variations of the hi-hat pattern, and they're separated out by like half notes, half note triplets, quarter note triplets, eighth notes, so on and so forth. I recommend, as you're playing around with this, get very familiar with these keyboard shortcuts. The first one is the ability to hide and show take lanes. And on a Mac, you're going to push Command Option U, and that will hide them. And if you press it again, it'll show them. On a PC, it's going to be Control Option U. The other keyboard shortcut I recommend you get familiar with is the pencil tool, and you want to press B as in Bravo, and you can go back and forth, toggle back and forth between the pen tool and the regular mouse cursor. If you're going to be creating this yourself, you want to make 12 take lanes. The way you make a take lane is you right click and you click Insert Take Lane, or you can use the keyboard shortcut that's displayed on the right hand side. And essentially on each lane, you want to create MIDI information. In this one's in a quarter note, and I just put a MIDI note on each quarter. And then on here, on the next grid, I went to triplets, and you can either right click on the grid and change this grid to a triplet grid, or you can use the shortcut Command 3. On a Mac, on a PC, that's going to be Control 3. And I essentially, every single lane, I just created these notes. So I just went one by one. And an easy way to do it is, you see this little notation on the bottom right? As you scroll in, you can see it changes from 1/16 to 1/8 to 1/4. So if you just change it to the variation that you need, then you can zoom in, zoom out, and create the lanes that you need. And then if you need more lines, you can hold Command 1 to make more lines, or 2 to take away lines. Once you have your take lanes the way that you want, you can audition them by clicking this little speaker icon, and it sounds like this. If you're finding the information in this video helpful, help support the channel by clicking that like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want more music production tips. And if you hang out till the end, I'll share with you how to take the hi-hats to another level. Let's get back into it. When it comes to take lanes, consider the take lanes your blank canvas where you can draw what is on the take lane, and everything that you draw is going to appear at the top here. So the first thing I like to do is I like to start with a simple quarter note, and let's just draw this. We're going to draw it up to 8, and I'm just going to, let's just loop this little section here. And that was Command L to loop. And now that I have that looped, let's hear it. The end of each bar, let's take this to an 1/8, and maybe I'll go down a little bit further, and we're just going to kind of paint. No real rhyme or reason if you don't want. And let's see what this sounds like. Say you're like, oh, I don't like that. I want it to be a little more intense. Perfect. Just paint where you want the hi-hats to go. And you can always follow the grid to see what how many bars you're on or how many bars you're drawing. And let's see what this sounds like. You do need to toggle back and forth so that you can click on the area that you want to start playing at. Now that you have this recorded, if you go and look at the top lane, the main lane, you can see that this hi-hat pattern, and we'll just do 4 bars. I'm going to loop it at 4 bars. You'll see that this hi-hat lane already has the MIDI in it, and the MIDI is represented right here. And now if you wanted to move the note, like let's say your track was in the key of D, you can click this unfold, go to the notes, just click the note, and now you can transpose it to the key of D, and now it's playing in D. Once you've created the pattern that you like, if you want to make it easier to move this around, you can highlight all of the MIDI parts, and you can either right click on it and click consolidate, or you can use Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC. Just keep in mind when you do this, it is going to delete that information below because it's going to commit the information to the MIDI clip. But now you have just one MIDI clip to move around. All right, let me share the bonus tip. If you want to add a little more spice to the hi-hats, what you can do is enable velocity, and this will add random velocity to each note, and it sounds like this. And then the next thing that I like to do is add some EQ, and I like to roll off all the lows and a little bit of the highs, and that sounds now like this. The next thing that I add is auto pan, and auto pan will just allow the hi-hats to kind of bounce back and forth between the speakers left and right, and it sounds like this. Make sure you have some headphones on to hear that one. And the next one I add is shifter. Now, shifter, this will allow you to kind of like pitch it down, pitch it up, and you can kind of have your hi-hat moving up and down, and it sounds like this. And what you want to do is automate some of these knobs, and that will make it so that when you automate the knobs, it'll give it the sound that you desire, so it's not so random. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out this next video because we're going to keep the fun going. Let's hear how these hi-hats came out.